Welcome to another episode of the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're making a cuppa. My name is Emma Cossey. I'm a coach and a mentor for freelancers, and I run the freelance lifestyle. And I'm here to de-influence you from getting all of the different things that you apparently must have for your desk, because I'm very easily influenced by buying all the things. And I'm looking around at my desk. My desk at the moment is a total mess. It is a complete mess. I really need to put some time in my diary to actually tidy it. It's partly because my son comes in here when he's doing homework as well. So I've got some of his stuff all over the place. It's not a tidy aesthetic desk. I would love it to be, but more often than not, I have at least 2 cups of tea that are next to me. I've got tiny Lego succulents. I've got cards that people have sent me. I've got a couple of freelancer magazines on my table. Candles that I really need to take them down to the glass bin people. Anyway, basically my desk is not aesthetic. And I've been working from home for 16 years now. And I think there are some things that I think are actually genuinely useful for your desk. And I thought I'd share them today. So first things first, it's probably going to be slightly surprising, a really good water bottle. I got it from Sainsbury's, actually, really cheap. I didn't go for what are these bottles called, actually? The big insulated bottles that everybody talks about and raves about. And they're not actually that great anyway, because they leak really easily. But I do think a really good water bottle that you'll end up using regularly is so important, because it's so easy to not be hydrated as a freelancer all the time. So my number one thing, if you're going to go buy anything, is a very good water bottle to make sure that you're hydrated all the time. Okay, number 2 is a second screen. So I have my laptop set up on one of those stands, so it's at tilt, and it plugs in to a second screen. It makes so much of a difference. It means I'm not completely overwhelmed with everything going on my screen. It means that sat here doing the podcast, I've got Descript on my main laptop recording this. I do have a Yeti microphone, but for years I actually recorded my podcast into my phone, which goes against all the rules. But I have been doing podcasting for a long, long time now. So a second screen, having my script, or for me, just bullet points of what I'm going to cover on the left side, is so useful. I've actually got, my laptop's the Asus ZenBook, which has the main screen, and then above the keyboard, it's like got an extra long keyboard, and above the keyboard's a second screen, basically. I think there's a newer generation that looks really good. It kind of pops out, but it's touchscreen. It is a great laptop, but again, you don't need really fancy tech. This is something I built up to. And for me, it's really useful when I'm out and about to have 2 screens, with one of the screens built into the keyboard. But having a second desktop screen makes a really big difference to my productivity. So I would say that's a bit of a must. Desk snacks. So I often have, like, I've got a little Tupperware tub here of trail mix that I've just put together, like yogurts, covered nuts, and a little bit of chocolate in there, and some raisins and some coconut, just for those times where I'm in the middle of something but I need to eat something. I've also in the past had things like protein bars in my drawers and stuff like that, and quite often I've got a tub of grapes that I'm working through. I think desk snacks are very important, but I would also recommend taking the time to stop and have your lunch. That's very underrated. And recently I've started making myself a sandwich the night before, popping it in the fridge, so that I have something to look forward to, which then reminds me to have lunch. But it also makes me stop and go out and actually have a decent lunch that I've made the night before, rather than going out there when I'm famished and making terrible decisions. So desk snacks. If you don't already have desk snacks, get yourself some desk snacks. That doesn't even sound like the words right anymore. The one piece of tech I do think is very, very useful for freelancers is a Stream Deck. So what it is I've got the smaller one, which has 6 buttons. And those buttons change depending on what program you're using on your computer. So they're like digital buttons. And basically what it means is that, say I'm in a Zoom session, I've got a button on there for mute. I've got a button in there. A couple of the buttons are for different reactions. I've got one for recording, and I think I've got one for leaving. And then I've got a button that sort of takes me to home. And you can edit those buttons however you want. You can just do it on the laptop. You can get ones, and I think if I was doing it again, I'd get the one with more buttons on it. But you can, if you want to try out the concept, you can just download the Stream Deck app on your phone and kind of go from there. But for creating shortcuts, it's so much easier. So in my when I'm going into my email, I have one that pops up there, so that there are certain folders that I put things into quite often. So I've got the shortcuts built into my Stream Deck, so I can just tap it. So when I'm going through my emails, I can literally just delete, archive, boomerang back. So rather than clicking around with the mouse and all that, I literally just tap a button. And like if I have something that's an expense, I have a button for going to my accounts folder. And there's just so many different useful ways that you can use it. Loads of pretty buttons that you can customize with it. But I find for things that I'm doing repetitively, it's a really useful tool. And actually, I've just realised I haven't even uploaded a Descript one for these, so I need to play around with that. But you can create lots of different profiles. But that is definitely a really useful tool, especially if you don't always remember all of the like Control-C. Well, Control-C, Control-V are easy to remember, but some of the other longer shortcuts, you can just program it into that and tap it. So I would say the Stream Deck for a freelancer is a very useful one. Some of the Stream Decks also have like, again, this is probably something I need to look at with editing, but more options in terms of like volume control and more audio settings. So if you're doing things like video, audio streaming, it would be really useful for that kind of thing. So essentially, what I'm saying you actually need on your desk is water bottle, get hydrated, snacks, don't let your blood sugar drop too much, and you basically want to be treating your brain like a plant, keep it fed and watered. A second screen is very, very useful and will help you not feel overwhelmed as much, and Stream Deck is really, really useful for just having all your shortcuts at your hands. There's plenty of other things that you can have. I have like a plug-in light thing. I've got various different folders and stuff like that, and chargers, but you don't need any of that. I would say the most important things are making sure you're not overwhelmed. You've got a decent-ish laptop. I for years and years and years worked on netbooks. Not netbooks, but Chromebooks. I worked on Chromebooks for years and years, so you don't need to spend a lot. And again, even with the Stream Deck, you could just try the free mobile app, so you don't even have to get the expensive stuff. I would love to know what is your, I think I might do a thread on this somewhere. What is your desk must-haves? What do you have to have on your desk and you can't work without? Let me know in the comments. So if you're on Spotify, you can comment below. If you're listening to it elsewhere, come on over to the Facebook group or the Discord, and we can have a chat there. I hope you have a wonderful freelance week. I have 5 minutes now. I'm going to tidy my desk.